Welcome to our program today, where the title is Danger Zone. But before we talk about the danger zone, for those of you who may be new to our broadcast, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Dr. Simmons. This is my wife, Vanessa. And we started Simmons Pacific Chiropractic approximately 20 years ago. And during that time frame, we've helped tens of thousands of cases, literally all over the country there. So looks like Rusty and Shania just joined us. So thanks for joining in, guys. We appreciate that. We've actually started teaching our procedure across the country called Advanced HIONE Chest, where we go to the college, specifically Davenport, Iowa, Palmer College, and we teach some of the students that. If you guys know somebody who you think should be listening, tag them in the comments. So go right down to the comments, the lower right-hand corner, and tag them in there during our broadcast. Obviously, we love your feedback, so feel free to like us at any time. We definitely appreciate that. Also, we're going to, if this is your first time joining in, let us know. Give us some feedback on that, or let us know if you've seen us before or if you've watched us before. We definitely appreciate your feedback. So the topic we're going to be talking about today is danger zone. And with that, actually, what is health? So we want to talk about that. Looks like Marcy joined us. Thanks for joining us as well. So for those of you who may or may not know, what is health? This seems to be a topic of conversation that definitely gets overlooked, and in some cases, people don't know. So what is health? Well, the actual definition is the optimum physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So what does that have to do with the danger zone? Well, we're going to talk about that in different categories of health. So Vanessa, would you like to explain that?
Yes, for sure. The categories of health. So we talk about genetically, genders, income and social status, physical environment, and the habits and education. So those are the categories of health. So let's talk about a few things. So genetics, even though I mentioned that very first, that is not the largest portion of the reason why we have our health the way it is. So let me give you an example. For obesity, we can easily say genetically, I'm set up for having, diabetes. So anyways, diabetes and being overweight. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So we can, for genetics, we can blame it on obesity. But it's not a genetic thing, because really, if you think about the reasons for health, it's regards to our education, our habits, our social environment. So the same genetic family have the same or similar makeup in the home environment, and that's what sets us up for obesity. Not necessarily the genetics, but we teach each person in our family the same habits. So we want to make sure what we're teaching our family members is the correct habits to set them up for health. And again, this is the danger zone that we talk about. Danger zone. So we talk about different things. So these are some things that you should watch out for. Is your skin clear? Swollen neck, nails, maybe indigestion, urine, not a straw color, cuts that aren't healing quickly, fatigue, tired often, difficult sleeping. All of these things, people think this is health, or that they're healthy when they have these symptoms that they're not really looking out for. Your body tells you if it's working properly or not. We just need to listen and think about the things that our body's telling us and act upon that.
Yeah, so essentially what we're saying is this. Symptoms are a way our body communicates to us, in some cases, to tell us something's wrong. But the lack of symptoms doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy. So, for example, the old cliche is you change the oil in your vehicle every 3,000 or 6,000 miles. Why do we do that? Well, to maintain the motor's life, the longevity of that motor. But you don't wait until your car has symptoms until you change the oil, because if you do, it's probably too late. There's a lot of other information out there that we'll talk about. The tip of the iceberg. In most cases, the symptom is just the tip of the iceberg. So those are things that definitely are contributing factors as well. So we just want to make sure we're not basing it only on symptoms. So that could be key. Symptoms are a way that our body does communicate, as we mentioned, but it doesn't determine if you're healthy or not. So for example, we can show you people who are all drugged up on morphine, and they feel great. They feel terrific. But they're at their end stage of their life and they're actually dying, for example. They're not truly healthy, right? So I'm sure we've all heard the story too, where we're going to talk about these danger zones. So I don't know if you can see the chart behind us here, but basically on one end we have death, and on the other end we have optimal health. I know it's kind of right to the point, but we want to be to the point because health is that important. So as we look at this, most times there's the box of symptoms, and that's usually what generates a lot of people to chiropractic offices. They'll say, Yes, I have symptoms. I need to go get adjusted. I'm not healthy. Or I'm not feeling well. Matter of fact, we use it in our daily conversations. How are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing great. So we use that almost as a barometer to determine if we're healthy or not, which is actually very dangerous. What are we talking about? In the middle there, we have danger zone or silent killers. So here's what we want to talk about that. Number one, I'm sure we've all heard the story. Somebody dropped dead of a heart attack. Boom, dropped dead of a heart attack. And they were feeling fine the day before. Or somebody says, man, they were a great guy. They were really healthy. The problem is we have to look at that, make sure we understand that they really weren't that healthy. Unfortunately, it takes years for those arteries to become clogged. It takes years for that heart to enlarge until it actually bursts. It takes years for that to happen. But because they had no symptoms, everybody assumed they were healthy when they really weren't. Let's take the dreaded C word, cancer. A lot of people don't like to talk about this, but cancer is another topic where sometimes it can be in your body up to 8 to 10 years before it's officially diagnosed. So those are things, again, using your body's symptoms is a tool, but should never be the indicator whether you're healthy or not. So we want to make sure we understand that. So a lot of times, we want you to feel great. We don't want to misconstrue this. We want you to feel great. We want you to feel good. We want you to feel terrific. But understanding that just because you are doesn't mean that you are healthy. So what is health? It's the optimum physical, mental, social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So we have to make sure we understand that entitle definition exactly to understand where health is coming from. So those are some key points that we need to definitely address and address home, right?
Yes, for sure. So the danger zone that we're talking about, these are symptoms that you are experiencing but not really realizing. So I'm going to have a list of all the different types of things listed when you look back at our live event. You can see in the comment section all the things that you need to be watching for, the signs that your body gives you that we need to be aware of. So for instance, with the oil light and the engine light that Dr. Simmons had used, those are signs and symptoms. If we cover those up and ignore them, then we're not actually acting upon them as we go.
So some of the way our body is created basically is that, number one, we have to understand the nervous system controls all functions of your body. Not some, not most, not a little, not a lot, all. It controls everything in your body. The interesting thing is this. It's estimated that 90% of your nervous system is dealt with motor function. So it has no sensory component to it. Only 10% is what they call pain and temperature, so what you can feel. So now you can understand that by going solely on how you feel, how this puts you in the danger zone. So because you may not feel doesn't mean that there's something abnormal inside your body or functioning or growing or being created inside there. You don't even know it because you're basing it how you feel. So again, I want to reiterate, we want you to feel terrific. We want you to feel great, but understanding that's only 10% of the overall portion of health because 90% of your health is really based on how your body's functioning. This is why we do see patients come in all the time, and a lot of times they don't have any pain or symptoms, but we have an instrument that we check them. What are we checking for? We're checking for any type of nerve pressure. So because your nervous system controls and coordinates all functions of your body, it's solely responsible for how your body's working, basically. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that nervous system is what we call clear, no pressure, no interference, that therefore your body will function at a higher or optimal level. So we'll have patients come in and we will check them and we'll scan them with our instrument, and they may say, we look for what we call your pattern, which means your body's not physiologically adapting because that pattern should not be there. Your body should be changing its dynamic all the time. But every once in a while it gets stuck into a pattern. And when that happens, when that occurs, our health goes way down. Now it may show up as symptoms, and it may not show up as symptoms. It could show up as a physiological problem. Maybe you're having asthma with that, which is not a symptom right away. Maybe your heart's beating irregular, not beating enough, beating too slow. Maybe your body's producing more stomach acids. Maybe your liver's not functioning, is not detoxifying. So some of these lists that we're going to show up, with stuff around the eyes and stuff on the skin and sleepless nights and things like that start to develop, all because there's pressure on the nerves and your body's not functioning correctly. Again, not based on how you're feeling, but how your body's functioning.
And that's the danger zone that we're talking about. Sometimes, if you're not listening to your body correctly, those are the little signs that are given, but you're in the danger zone thinking that you are healthy and you need to act upon that.
So understanding that sometimes, this is kind of strange too, sometimes symptoms are a good thing, right? They're a physiological response to things. So take, for example, if I'm standing here, my heart's beating at a certain rate, but if I took off running or sprinting, my heart is therefore going to increase, the lungs will increase, inhale and expiration, and those could be symptoms of shortness of breath, right? But it's actually a normal physiological response based upon the activity that I'm doing. So that's why symptoms, they're an indicator, but they don't always tell us a lot. For those of you who may know this, if you're a vehicle, the check engine light comes on. It'll say check engine. It doesn't say what's wrong. It doesn't say where the problem is. It just says, hey, there's a problem. That's kind of what the instrument that we use in our office does. It's basically like the check engine light. It'll come up and we scan your pattern, or if we scan you in your pattern, that means something's wrong. It doesn't say where it's wrong. It doesn't even say what's wrong. It just says that something's wrong. Same with the check engine light in your vehicle. And we'll do, obviously, we can go on different broadcasts and talk about that, what we need to do and how can we correct that. But for today's purpose, we're just talking about health and the danger zone. So we just want to mention that to you as well.
Yes, so our visual health line that you can kind of see behind me here, we're also going to post that on the feed. But we want to ask you, which direction are you going? Are you going towards optimal health, or are you going towards death? If you notice, the danger zone, the red box, is closer to death than to optimal health. So that is what we're talking about, the danger zone today.
Absolutely. So again, we're glad you're here. We'd love it if you give us a like. We love your feedback, so feel free to give us a like. And also, even if you're watching this on the rebroadcast, we keep engaged. So we'll go back on here. We'll jump right back on, even if it's days after. So don't worry about if you're not watching it live. Always put any questions in there. We'll definitely address those as they come up. And also feel free to like us on Instagram. We have an Instagram, look for Simmons Specific Chiropractic, and follow us on Twitter. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel. So we have other videos on there as well. And we also have 3 groups on Facebook. Healthy lifestyles, healthy weight loss, and healthy families. So we have all kinds of people right now engaging and sharing what they're doing at home and things that work for their family. Maybe it doesn't work for your family, but maybe it will. So these are some alternatives. If you want to, take a break from all this other stuff that's going on out there in the world, and you want some positive things, which we need, because that is part of health. Remember, we said health is what? It's the optimum physical and what? Mental. So we got to make sure we're mentally staying alert and make sure we're mentally on the right track as well. So any closing thoughts for?
No, I just want to thank you for zoning in here today and share this information to whoever can benefit. And we can't wait to see you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.